We ain't found Sith.
Warning, the following podcast contains speculation, which may be confused with spoilers, although it may also contain spoilers. You have been warned.
Hello! And welcome to We Ain't Found Sith, issue 81. My name is Evan, and if you're looking at the screen, you're going to see that there's more people on here than normally are. I am joined today, as usual, by my co-host, Pedro. Yeah, that guy. Producer Fungus.
Yoga Fire.
And very special guests, the producers and the writer-director of Adventures of the Zolan Dart, Savanna. You just told me how to say it.
You got this. You got this, man.
Oudit. I was about to say it the fancy way again.
It's okay. I'll take it.
Yeah. And Brian Ballance.
There we go. Hey, see, first try. I'm proud of you.
There you go.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
you
thank
tried
you.
to throw me off with the double L there, Brian, but it's
You know, you got to be different.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
One of them is silent.
That's right. If I don't like you, it's Ballance. I just mix it up.
or you can just go Hispanic and be like Ballance.
Nah, I'll take it.
There you go. So Savanna, Brian, you guys, you're podcasters. A little bit more podcasters than we are.
I don't know.
Pretend.
Base level podcasters.
Yeah. You guys are the host of the Dorky Diva Show.
Mhm.
Yep. Mhm.
And you guys just released an audio drama, kind of in the style, kind of like of old time radio.
Mhm.
And it's called Adventures of the Zolan Dart, and it is something that I think our listeners would love, as it is based on and around adjacent to a much beloved franchise.
Yeah, I would say so.
And I won't go much further than that, just in case there's a lawyer listening.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's if there is a lawyer, it's Beyonce, yes. And Oudit.
But I mean, audio dramas. I mean, I guess with podcasts becoming such a big thing recently, it kind of makes sense that they would kind of start coming back. But what kind of inspired you guys to take on this project and do this?
We kind of just wanted to.
Sheer craziness. And
Yeah.
delusion.
We're like, it can't be that hard.
Well, I was originally inspired by the Dooku Jedi Lost audio drama that came out. I think it was in like April of 2019. It was right around Celebration Chicago.
Yeah.
And I thought it was awesome. I had only ever listened to one other audio drama, and I went to Brian and I was like, this is really cool. And he was like, yeah, it's on my list this year that I really want to make one of those. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we should just do it if it's on your list. And yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, it was. We probably should have put more thought into it. Realistically, it's like I'll just run a marathon. That'll be fine. And that's kind of the reckless abandon we sort of attacked it, because it literally was that. I think I want to make an audio drama. And she was like, "Yes, we're doing it." And I was like, "Calm down." And here we are.
It worked out well for us though, because we already
did.
had a podcast. Brian is an actor. He decided to write the story, and we thought, well, if we're going to make any sort of fan project, this is probably best suited for us because it doesn't require cameras and sets and all of that stuff. And I'm not an artist. I can't make physical art, but I can podcast. So we were like, well, this is within our realm of possibilities. We can make it happen.
Yeah.
I
think it was Kevin Smith who once said that, making a movie, you need producers and you need money and you need somebody to pay you to make your art. Telling a story, anyone can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
So was there any technical knowledge that you guys had to learn, I guess, for this? Like, you know what I mean? Because it's
everything.
Okay.
Well, the
Was
thing
there
is,
anything unexpected though?
everything. It was one of those things where I remember talking about this with Savanna, and I was like, it's just going to be a complicated podcast, right? Like, how hard can it be? Because I'm dumb. And I was like, yeah, it'll be fine.
300 audio layers later.
Dude, you guys have no idea.
Many hours.
It feels like it's been years and years. But we got very lucky because we had a friend, Christina Morse, and she is way into behind the scenes stuff, and she loves audio engineering and stuff. So when I started thinking about, hey, let's do this, and Savanna was like, yes, let's do this. I was like, well, we know someone who loves sound design. Let's just bring them on and see if they want to be involved. And through a lack of judgment on her part, she said yes. So we're like, awesome. And she'd never made an audio drama either. So it was a lot of like, what exactly is an audio drama? How does this work? We love the medium. You know, it's just a cool, especially like with the Star Wars audiobooks, like they're essentially audio dramas that have a book as the script, you know? And I was like, we could do this, right? I think we could do this. And I mean, we did it. So yes, but it was the longest, hardest road ever because there was so much learning involved of like, well, that didn't work, or that's not going to work, or figuring out a pipeline. Remember how long that took us to do that? I mean,
it was difficult to figure out a workflow. And like when Brian would record with our voice actors, when that got passed off to Christina, our sound designer, they kind of had to figure out if they were going to work on things like scene by scene, chronologically, or if they were going to do all of the same audio, like types of audio at one time. They ended up going scene by scene and figuring out that was a better workflow. But I think it took a little bit of time to get there. Then we had people in the audio drama who were all over the world using all kinds of different equipment. So Brian and Christina had to work really hard to figure out how to make all of their audio sound the same as if they were in the same place. And, you know, we did the best we could. Christina is amazing and she did such a great job. But, you know, we learned a lot along the way. Lots of lessons were learned.
A lot. So much so that if I knew what I knew now back then, I probably would have been more hesitant to make one. Because it's just so like, it's so much work, and like learning is the worst thing in the world when it's like, can't I just matrix this thing? Just like put it in the back of my head and let's figure this out, you know?
Yeah. Well, now that you guys have completed your project and you have learned all the lessons, can we expect another project?
I mean, I'll say this: the reception has been overwhelmingly positive. We did not see that coming, and that is one of the most common questions we've been asked.
Well, it's not even a question; it's just an expectation.
They're just going, demand.
Can't wait for the next one, and we're like, okay.
This is the world of podcasting. I get free content every week.
That's right.
Somebody was like, "Oh, is the next one coming out next week?" And I was like, "This took a year and a half to make."
Yeah,
no.
the day after it releases. So when's the next one? I'm still recouping from the first one. Like, no, I mean, you know, watch the space, I guess. I would say if you want another one, let us know. You know.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Yeah. We're very eager to hear how many people want to hear more because I mean, we're not done telling stories. We just need to make sure people are still going to listen to them and it's worth all the time.
Well, I was going to say Patreon that thing.
You guys want another one? Yeah. We're like boosting it a lot more now. We're like, hey, we did this. We have a physical product that you can listen to and see what we've done. Now you can go support one.
Yeah. So, it's funny you bring that up. That's like like we've had a Patreon for a while because that helps pay for this. Because, you know, there's art involved and art isn't free. And then the engineer as well and like designer and things like that. But yeah, we definitely have been like, hey, so if you want another one, it was a lot of our own money.
There was a lot of work involved and some of us had to like, you know, give up some shifts and things like that.
Yeah. Exactly. But I mean, hey, you never know.
Now, so tell me a little about this voice cast. Like, how did are these just people that are friends of yours that you just kind of said, like, hey, we're working on this, you know, do you want to come? Or were there actual like auditions involved? Were you looking for like specific voices?
Yeah, I'm actually very glad you asked this question, because this is where I'm most proud of probably. Everyone auditioned, including myself. Savanna was the producer, so everything had to be greenlit from her. So I would send notes. There were multiple people auditioning for pretty much every role. I'm dumb, so I made a script with 30 characters. Again, things you learn. And yeah, everyone auditioned. Luckily, so I've been an actor consistently for about 6 years now. And I've got to work with a lot of really, really cool people on a lot of cool stuff. Kayla as well, like you guys had her on.
Yeah.
Kayla and I met on my first movie I ever did. And I think it was her first movie too. And that was way back in like 2014.
Oh, wow.
So when I wrote this script, I just sort of threw it up because I was like, I have this idea. And I just went and I wrote it. And then I didn't realize until it was done how many characters had to be cast. I was like, what have I done? But luckily, through the bunch of projects that I've been on, I was able to call friends that I've worked with before that I knew were really good. And I was like, hey, I have an idea for this role. Can you send an audition tape for me? I would send it to Savanna. She'd okay it or not. So everyone in this audio drama, with the exception of maybe 3 people I hadn't worked with prior. So there was a lot of reaching into my friends and like, oh, can I do this? And also we got very lucky through my show, The Interesting Podcast. I've had a lot of people on and I've made a lot of really good friends doing that. And so we actually had 3-4 people that actually worked on all the new Star Wars movies doing voices in this. So that was really cool. I was able to, and they also sent in audition tapes. Everybody did. So it was an undertaking, but I am so beyond proud of this cast because they were so good. Because you never know.
A lot of people had to audition for Caprin. That was a tough one.
Caprin and Paisho.
A lot of people. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Caprin had to be perfect, and Paisho was the one I was the most specific on because she's my favorite. And so I was like, I know what she sounds like in my head, and I'm not settling. And I literally scoured the internet to find Catherine, and she nailed it. It was so good. It was so good. But casting took months, right? Casting took a while.
Yeah, it felt like it never ended. And some of the roles we didn't cast until like probably 6 months after a lot of the dialogue had been recorded. Mm-hmm. So it was a long time.
It was.
And what's funny, you bring up Paisho, and it's funny because like it wasn't until I got to your website and I kind of started looking at your sketches, and I'm like, oh, she's like and I forget the name of the species, but she's a Max Rebo species.
Yeah, she's an Ortolan.
Elephant people.
She's so cute.
Isn't she great?
She is, yeah.
I love her so much. A little Max Rebo mechanic.
A little, and she kind of reminds me of is it Kaylee from Firefly?
That was the inspiration.
She loves working on the ship.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was, when I was writing it, like there's a lot of Firefly in this because it's my favorite TV show of all time. And so I would wait until later on, and I'd tell Savanna like I was thinking about this during this scene, and I remember I assume you guys are brown coats at Firefly, and there's a scene in Firefly where Kaylee, when it's the episode with the dress, the like really big nice dress when she goes to the ball. There's a scene where she's by the snack table talking to a bunch of like older men about engines and stuff like that. And I was like, that's Paisho right there. That's what I want. I love aliens, so I wanted a Max Rebo. I wanted it to be a female because I think that's awesome. And I was like, just have her know everything about the ships to where she hears dynamic class and is like, okay, I'll give you a discount if you just let me look at it. I was like, how cool would that be? I love Paisho. This could be a Paisho show. This is a pie show, but
we're gonna rename our podcast.
Yeah, it's the pie show.
That's your next episode.
Boom.
Yeah,
boom. It's just called the Pie Show.
And it drops March 14th.
That's right. That's right.
Of 2022. We'll give them time.
We'll give them time.
Savannah, that's what we need. We need Pie Show holding a pie for March 14th this year.
Okay,
you know?
We'll see what we can do.
Here we go. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
So it's funny. So you bring up Star Wars audio drama. So I guess you guys, I've never really gotten into the audiobooks.
Sure.
I've always been I need a physical copy and I'm going to read it myself type of person. Mm-hmm. But I guess it sounds like you guys that's one of your favorite mediums. Then is just kind of listening to an audiobook.
For me, for sure. Yeah.
For me, I actually prefer books, but the Dooku Jedi Lost one was only released in audio form at first. So if you wanted to know the story, you were kind of forced to listen to it. And later on, they released the the book, which was basically a script. But I really wanted to know more about that story because Ventress is in it. And I'm like, I love Ventress. I need to know what her deal is in this story. So I listened to it and I was like, this is really cool. Like, I'm very into this right now. And I typically don't listen to audiobooks because they're pretty long. And I feel like I kind of zone in and out of them, which is why I prefer to pick up an actual book. But after listening to that one, I was like, this is something we could actually do. This is within our capability. Like, why haven't we done this yet? Why aren't more people doing this?
And you found out because it's real.
Yeah, we know why.
We found out the hard way.
Yeah. I mean, the couple of audiobooks I've ever heard, usually it's somebody narrating the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be very monotone.
Yeah. Now, what it did remind me of a lot is I've been listening to podcasts for like a decade now, and it reminded me a lot of there was a podcast. Actually, they've just released a few episodes over quarantine called The Thrilling Adventure Hour.
Oh yeah.
Which it reminds me a lot of that because there's a lot of the it's an ensemble cast. They're actually telling a story as actors playing it out. You've got sound effects and things like that. So this took me like right back into that world.
Cool.
Of radio drama. So for me, it's been like I said, it was a very welcome thing to listen to. I mean, that hour flew by.
Cool.
It was and just something to just kind of, like I said, distract from everything that's kind of going on. So it really is. It's the perfect time to be releasing entertainment in this form. Obviously, you guys are kind of hush hush about what's coming down the pike, what could be coming out. But I do hope really that we're going to get some more of this because it really, I mean, like I said, it fills a spot that I didn't know I needed.
Well, that feels good. We like to hear
really
that.
Yeah, it's weird because you make these things in a vacuum. You know what I mean? And also, that was another issue we ran into with casting was we didn't tell anyone we were working on this, and we'd already been in production for like 6 months. And the only reason
it had been a year. No, it had been a year.
You're right. You're right because we didn't announce till Christmas. Oh my! And the only reason we announced it was because of her.
No, we started working on this project in June of 2019.
Yes.
We did not tell anyone what we were doing until May 25th, 2020.
You're right.
So
you're right.
Almost a year passed. Yeah. And then it was in December when we announced the release date. And they were working on it until like
that morning.
Yeah, like no release date.
Wow. To give you an idea, it dropped at 3:00 in the morning on Friday the 22nd. At 5 p.m. the 21st, I sent Christina rewrites. So I had to hop into my booth really quick and be like, it needs this line. Hold on. Quick. Did it work?
He was like, there's a plot hole.
Yeah. I was like, one line ruins everything. We got to change it. It was wild.
I just know I like the characters. I love your character, Brian, of Reldar. Like I just he really is like he's the nerdy guy who thinks he's cool, right?
Yeah.
And I say it because like he's smart enough that he created some sort of massive ion cannon to disable. That can disable ships. Yeah. But yet, he's trying to be all suave and like walking into the bar.
Yeah.
Double shot of moof milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I imagine is the green walrus milk from.
Yeah. It's gotta be
100%.
It's straight up milk. There's nothing special in that. He literally walked into a bar and ordered milk.
Yeah. That scene is how I'm like, you know who Reldar is? This right here. This is clearly a shady place where bad things are happening left and right. Navsana's in like a black market outside, and Reldar's like, I'll take some milk. What you got going on here? She's like, well, how much you want to lose? Listen, I don't think I'm going to lose anything. All right. So. Like, just.
And then, of course, meets, first of all, the second you said it's a Trandoshan dealing, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
In the entire universe, there's never been a good Trandoshan.
It's true. It's true. We tried. That was another thing that was really important when I was writing it. I told Savanna, I wanted to tell a different story. You know what I mean? Because there's so many, especially with the Star Wars universe, like it's so good and it's so rich that you can like there's so much room for all these stories. You know what I mean? It's not so it has to be this archetype. And so like when we were talking about originally, like with Nevsana, it's like I want her to be the captain of the ship, which already is different. I don't want her to be a smuggler. And that was a big thing because smugglers are super interesting, especially in this time period in the timeline, especially in the Outer Rim. It's like you got to do what you got to do to survive. And I don't discredit anyone for doing that. But Navsana specifically, I was like, what if there was someone who had a straight code of her own and didn't bend to it? Like that would be more difficult for sure. So I want to show that. I want to tell that kind of a story. And so when we came up with Capran, I was like, yeah, what if we got a Trandoshan that like, liked this guy that just walked in and he's just ridiculous, but he's kind of playing with him,
He's an idiot, and I'm gonna take his money off of him.
Exactly.
But he's not a bad guy, so I'm not gonna do anything too bad for him.
Exactly. And like Drew, my God, he was so good as Capran. Like little nuances that he would add where you're like, they're playing a game. He's taking advantage of him, but you can sense this like danger to Capran. You're like, this guy is clearly, you do not want to, nobody in this bar is going to mess with this dude. And yet Reldar walked right up to him and sat down at the table. So like, I like that idea that he finds Reldar amusing, but is also clearly dangerous. I like that juxtaposition of a character. It was fun.
I like this idiot. He makes me laugh.
Exactly. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I love that. It's so.
We also wanted like a lot of non-humans in the story.
Yeah.
Ryan and I are both huge fans of the creatures of Star Wars, and so I don't even think we ever had a conversation about Navsana being a human. Like we knew that she wanted to be some type of non-human.
For sure.
And I think we landed on Nautilin like pretty early.
Yeah.
But that was a big note, and we felt like that was different because the lead of a Star Wars movie it's always a human.
Yep.
For good reason.
Sure.
But because we had the freedom to do whatever we wanted with audio, we were like, she's not human. So that was really fun.
Not to mention, I mean, it's a badass looking race.
Yeah.
The only other character we've ever seen is Kit Fisto.
Yep.
Who looks BA, but then they don't really do anything with him.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Because even
like the Ortolan, like Max Revo's species, it's like you only see him, but where are the rest of his people? What are they doing?
Yeah.
So that was really cool to be able to tell those stories and figure out like what are these people actually doing if they're not like the one character we've seen of their species.
Exactly. I actually had to go back and make them human, some of them, because they were like all aliens, and I was like, oh, hold on. I got a little carried away.
Why is that?
And
though?
then,
like, why do you feel like you had to make them human?
Because I don't know. I wanted the variety. I liked the idea of all of them being aliens, but adding a human element, like Reldar. He himself is out of place just as a personality. You're in the Outer Rim, you're in a shootout, you're in a cantina, you're doing all this stuff, but he's just some like goofy tech dude, right?
Yeah.
So I like the idea that, I mean, the crew is literally a Nautilin and a droid and then a human. You know what I mean? If it was another alien, I feel like the power dynamic is there where like we're both creatures and we're both aliens, we're both doing this kind of cool thing. When you add a human, that's in a sense kind of limiting. You know what I mean? Like they don't have any superpowers. He's not a Jedi. So I like that idea where Nevson is this like capable pilot. That's awesome. And Reldar can do tech, which is great. But outside of that, all he does is argue with Murph.
Murph is there with a good sassy attitude.
Yeah. So
that's my boy.
I loved that.
A little bit of K2SO meets L337.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Good old Murph.
Love him.
So for the characters that obviously you used software to alter the voices.
Sure.
What went into auditioning those people that played those characters?
Well, funnily enough, so like Capran is the one that pops to mind right away. Believe it or not, that is not edited at all. That is straight up. That is Drew's voice. Like he can just do that.
That's pretty badass.
That's why we were looking for so long for a Capran, and then when I got his audition, I was like, "Oh, please, for the love of God, say yes!"
Yeah.
Like that's just him. Outside of that, I remember we added stuff to Sereth and Shibasa because they're an original alien race that I created. So we kind of messed around with that, and like me and Savanna for a long time went like, what do they kind of look like, and how do we do this? So we added, there's like some layers underneath him and her that have almost like an echoey sort of feel to them, because we wanted it to feel like their throats are different. You know, it makes like a slightly different sound. Like when you see, there's art being made. We'll just say that, right? We can say this. It's allowed.
Yeah. We've got art coming of Sareth
Yeah.
and Shibasa, so you'll get to see
Yeah.
what they actually.
You'll
Well,
see.
and you've got some art already, which is on
We do.
on your characters page on the website.
Yes, yes. We have Sareth and Shibasa coming up, and you'll get to see them.
Captain
and,
Donalo.
and Captain Donalo. Gonna be pretty cool. So we did that, but outside of that,
What about Murphy?
Murph, yeah, that's true. But Logan didn't do anything to his voice. He just talked like that, and we put filters on him. Like Christina.
So you had to add stuff afterward.
Yeah, we added filters on top. I think it was 3 different ones. Christina showed me one time. She's like, I figured out the math, because it took forever to figure out exactly like, oh, he's a droid. So we all know the sound of a droid, or like a transmission, like when somebody sends a hologram. We know what that sounds like. So with Murph, there was like, I want to say 5 or 6 different tests that were like, not quite there. Here he sounds too metally. Here he sounds too human. Let's try and split the difference. And when we figured it out, she goes, oh, it's just this tweaked here. I was like, oh, cool. Get used to it. He talks a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, all of it was a process.
I know famously Lucasfilm used to have like an audio archive of like sound effects
Yes.
that they had available to the public. Is that still around, or is that something that
we avoided
that's
it.
gone now, and you had to kind of look at other areas?
When we started this, I was like, hey, Brian, I'm
Yeah.
terrified of being sued or given a cease and desist. So we decided pretty early on that we didn't want to use any existing sound effects from anything, like even from a regular sound library. So all of the sound effects that you hear are made by Christina. She literally created these sounds, which is so cool. But that was a conversation I think we had for like a couple weeks, was like, do we want to use them?
Can we?
Do we not? And I was like, let's just play it safe and not, use them. And I think that makes it even better to be like I'm so proud of Christina for creating this.
Yes.
And there are our own original sounds. So they might not sound exactly like Star Wars, but they're close enough, and it's like our own take on what Star Wars would sound like.
Yeah.
She did a hell of a job. I mean,
She
that
did.
was
Like when you find out what went into some of these sounds, like so coming out of hyperspace, she just hit her washing machine, and it's like one other thing, but it sounds like you're coming out of hyperspace. Like it sounds exactly like it's supposed to, but the things that she would do, like for Murph's role,
she had to record like little things for Murphy's role,
wheel?
like when he was wheeling around. She did a bunch of different things for that. They were like toy cars and just like random things she had lying around her house.
Yeah,
so
a ball.
that was awesome.
She had like a metal ball that she was doing. Like she recorded all of these things and then would mix it and mess with it in post. So she man, we remember how many wheels we went through with Murph? I mean, there was probably 10 to 12 different versions before we settled on what Murph sounds like when he's moving.
Yeah,
So
there was a
that
lot.
was a thing. Puffer pigs, that was its own thing. That took forever to figure out. It's nuts. Christina's the backbone of the entire production. Like we could not have done it without her.
No, people underestimate how much sounds and music and all that stuff is important to a project like this, whether it's a movie or an audio drama like this. It's crazy. Like when I was watching the for the Mandalorian, where they did like the behind the scenes stuff,
the gallery.
My favorite, the gallery. My favorite episode is the Ludwig Göransson episode.
100%.
But I'm a music nerd, so like
there you go.
But well, like especially in an audio drama where there is no visual, like those sounds are like really necessary.
100%. And you take someone to know how it
I'm a very visual person. Yeah, I'm like such a visual person, and I was so worried after I read the script. I was like, I love the story, but I'm so scared that people aren't going to understand where our characters are, what they're doing. So it took a while to figure out like what all we needed to hear as well. At one point, Brian was like, "We're discussing right now if we need footsteps," and he was like, "Because if we start doing footsteps, then we have to continue doing footsteps."
Yeah.
So much thought went into all of that.
And that's where Christina came in. That helped a lot because when I was writing it, I was not thinking about location. I'm just telling the story of what's happening in the dialogue and the scene changes and stuff like that. So Christina, it was like 6 months into production. She goes, "So what does Sarah's hut sound like?" And I was like, "I have no idea." Oh wow, yeah. And you've got the cockpit and the cargo hold of the Zolan Dart, and those have to sound different. So I'm like, I did not think about this at all. So a lot of that was just deciding what these environments sound like for Christina to then create them. And then like different marketplaces, does the Kermai village sound different than the other one? You know, does the Pai Show's marketplace sound different than the Dugo marketplace? And I'm like, it does. So I had to literally like build this in my head and describe it and separate it to where they don't sound the same, you know. And it's just so, oh, it was work. It was work, guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the end product really, I mean, I'd say it's damn near perfect.
Oh, dude,
I mean,
it's a lot.
your work has paid off, and it is really well done and really high quality.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to send that soundbite to Christina.
There you go. We'll clip it from the show.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. See?
But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's something that I feel like I could really get lost into this world.
Cool.
I do love, like, you're kind of like, sometimes it feels like you're going left, and then all of a sudden you turn right, and it's like, oh, okay, you know. So I definitely like that as well.
Cool.
You know, you talk about how you're a big Firefly fan. What else kind of what else did you pull from when kind of
Everything.
A lot. I mean, there's the obvious. The Zolan Dart being a dynamic class freighter is from the Ebon Hawk, you know, from Knights of the Old Republic video game. So we did that. That's my favorite video game of all time. So I took that. My love of creatures, obviously, with Pai Show and Capron and stuff like that. Yeah, Firefly. So Kaylee inspired Pai Show. The scene in the beginning that it opens up with them transporting puffer pigs was a nod to an ending of a Firefly episode where they're transporting cattle, and it's just such a weird thing, and they're just looking down on a bunch of cows, and I was like, that's fun. I'm going to do that.
There's a Lord of
remember
the
that
Rings
episode.
nod
Right.
that one of our friends noticed.
Yes, there's a Lord of the Rings nod when Navsana is threatening Donalo after he blows up, and she tells the pirate, leave now and never come back. That's a
Okay.
little Gollum
So
line.
yeah, I wanted to ask you, like, what
Please.
are there other Easter eggs? Have people found them all?
There
Because
are so many.
yeah, all right, great. Because
Oh, yeah.
I gotta go back and listen again because the obvious one is, you know, Navsana is just Savanna's name
Yep.
mixed up,
Yep.
right?
Yep. 100%.
That's,
Yep.
exactly. That's the obvious one. But and after I listened to it, I was thinking, like, man, you know, I didn't really check to see if there are any Easter eggs. I gotta listen again, and yeah, so
There's a lot.
that's always fun. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some fun ones for us too. Like
Mm.
we have a lot of podcast listeners that have been very supportive of us when we
Mhm.
said that we
For
were going to make
years.
this, and even before we said we were making an audio drama, they've just been very supportive. So we used their names and like kind of mixed them up. So Reldar is actually Daryl switched around, and one of our good friends,
Oh.
Daryl Faria, we used his
Nice.
name. Capron is the last name of one of our listeners. His first name is Jim. So we immediately, like, when we were coming up with the character names, and Brian did a lot of that.
Mm.
He made a lot of them. And then I was like, how can we fit this person's name in here? How can we fit this person's name in here? So for them, like when they listen, we're obviously hoping they pick up on that nod to their name. But then there's so many nods to pop culture and the movies that we like grew up on. But there's a few that nobody's picked up on yet that I'm waiting for people to pick out. So there's a lot.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
There's some good
it's
ones.
fun though. I'm glad that he put like that many Easter eggs in there because it's exciting. Even for me, like a lot of them I didn't even pick up on, and I've noticed them along the way too. And I'm like, I see what you did there.
You know, Star Wars fans, we love Easter eggs, and we love being like, is that from the thing? And I'm like, Yeah, it is. It is.
Nerd culture in general, we love Easter eggs.
Exactly. So man, there's tons. And like the names specifically, like I think I know the one that you're thinking about, Savannah. So
The planets.
Okay. I was thinking about the bartender. She mentions there's two people that were.
Oh yeah, no, don't tell those yet.
Yeah,
Tell them
don't
about
tell
the
those.
planets. That's a fun one.
Okay, so so the two planets that we go to, so there's Pie Show's planet, which isn't named, but maybe we should do something with that. Anyway,
I got it. I'll
Yeah.
talk to you later.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So the two planets, there's Kermai, which is the planet that Sereth is on, and then there's Ozog, which is the planet that Capron is on. Right. That's where it kind of happens. Those are the two that we go to. I spent so long with my Star Wars Atlas trying to find a planet that would fit what I'm trying to do. But as Star Wars fans, we know the second you put a name that is recognized, you have to adhere to it. So if someone's like, oh, we're going to Mercana, I'm like, okay, what do we know about Mercana? I'm going to read everything. That doesn't really fit. I can use the name, but they're going to be like, that's not Mercana.
Well, that's not Mercana.
Yeah.
So
Mercana has an icy climate, and
dude, I'm there. So I would write Mercana, and the other side of my brain is like, that's not how it
You
would
can't
happen.
do that.
So literally the day, because we went through 9 drafts. We recorded the 9th draft. So from first draft to what we shot, it was 9 different versions. And on the 9th one, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm making my own thing. Here's what we're going to do. And Kermai and Ozog is Kermit and Gonzo. That's what we're doing, guys.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we've got
Nice.
even the Muppets in here.
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff in there.
It's funny to hear you say Ozog because
Yeah.
I could have sworn when I was listening, I guess maybe the accent, it was Ozark.
All right. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, Ozark, that makes sense.
Whatever.
That'll work.
Some, like shady
Yeah,
back.
I like that show.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah, there's a lot of those. A lot of the names are little Easter eggs. Like I said, there's one specifically that I'm excited to see if anyone picks up on it. I'll give you a hint. It's the barkeep that drops them. So if you can figure those out, those are.
I'll have to.
Those
I'll
are,
have to give that. I'll have to give that a listen.
Yeah, check those out. Yeah, there was a lot. There's a lot of tiny things that we just put in here that were
We'll
like,
eventually have to make a list. Like when people pick out most of them, we might have to
Yeah.
make a list and share that.
I
People
think
will be
so.
like, oh, that's fun.
I think so. I mean, another thing we did was like we're pretty active in the Star Wars podcasting community and like on Twitter and stuff like that specifically. And do you remember, what was it, maybe 3 years ago? There was this thing where a bunch of like fan artists of Star Wars came together and made a big piece for Rebels. You guys remember that? It was a few. It was cool. They like made this giant piece of Star Wars Rebels, and each artist did like a section. It's like somebody did the ship here, somebody did Hera's face here, and it came together to make this beautiful piece.
It was
I-
really cool.
It was so cool, and I remember being super inspired by that because I just love Rebels, but also like what a cool thing to do. Like when the internet, so many things can seem competitive, even though it's really not. Like we're all doing the same thing, you know. So like I loved that idea that all these people came together for their love for this thing and they made a piece that was better because everyone was involved. So when we were making this, it was really important to me to involve other Star Wars podcasts. And like we talked about that early on, like how do we get other people involved? And all this was secret as well. So that was just shooting ourselves in the foot. But there's a lot of cameos in this as well of other Star Wars podcasters. So like Sky Talkers to Talking Bay 94 to the Forcecast, like a lot of those hosts have a line here and there just to be like, hey, we're all in this together. Let's do this thing. You know, it was cool.
That's awesome.
It was a cool thing. We're really
I
happy.
think of the 3 you just mentioned, I think only the Forcecast is something I've heard in the past. There's so many Star Wars podcasts out there. That
Dude, tell me about it.
That's the crazy thing.
And
And there
and
were
then
more
there's-
people that we wanted to involve, and we got to a point where it was like we have too many people in this. We'll just have to save them for the next one.
Yeah. Kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe at some point in the future there'll be something there for a couple of guys from with some Miami accents.
Listen, I'm just saying, El
Juanito
Gato
Moraga.
Fall was already named. All right, so
Yeah.
you never
There you
know.
There you go.
Speaking of Miami accents, I noticed that you guys that I think it was Nafsana that she just busted out in some Spanish there.
She's got a lot going on. Kayla, you know, Kayla is of
Mhm.
Puerto Rican descent as well. So
Yeah.
that was a big thing. When I wrote it, I had her in mind. Like
Okay.
before,
So-
like even when I told Savanna, I was like, this is for her.
But the
And so
cameo isn't Kayla.
No, the cameo,
Oh, no?
there is so there is Spanish in it. That was another thing. I think inclusion and
Ah.
representation is super important. And
Yeah.
if we're going to make our thing, I'm going to have a lot of stuff here. And I remember years ago, Trevor Noah actually was talking about the first time he ever watched the original Star Wars, and he watched the Jawas in the scene where Owen is selling R2 and 3PO to the Lars homestead. And he said that the Jawas are actually speaking like South African dialect, right? So to us, it's just Jawa speak. We hear the things. But in reality, they're speaking another language. And he was like, they're having conversations about what it means to be a man and like profound things. But we're like, oh, it's the Jawas doing their thing.
But it's also Trevor Noah, so it's like,
right?
could be a bit.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, I'm going to run with this. And so I remember when I talked to Christina as well and Savanna, I was like, what if we had different languages from our world in this, to where anyone who doesn't speak it would think this is an alien language, right? To them, because they don't understand what's going on. It's just sounds. But the people that do speak those languages, it's a little Easter egg for you guys being like, oh, that's a thing that like, you get it, you know? So we have, as Reldar is going from the bar to the sabacc table, there is there's 3 conversations that happen. One of them, the first one is in French. The second one is in Mandarin, and the third one is in Spanish. And I was just like, what a cool thing. Like if I spoke Spanish and I'm listening to it, like your ears perk up like, wait, I understood that. You know, and I was like, I want to give that to people.
It got a pop out of me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. We're so happy you noticed that. So, Brian, it was Jonah Marie. Who was the other one that had this
my sister-in-law. Yeah.
Okay.
My sister-in-law, her name is Bernice, and she's Mexican. And so when she was in town, and I was like, hey, can you help me with this? I was like, I have an idea. And we just workshopped what would be a quick little 3-sentence conversation that could happen in this setting. And when I realized that we were going to do Spanish, I messaged Jonah Marie Macias, who's a big part of the Star Wars community as well. And I was like, do you speak Spanish? She's like, yes. I was like, cool. Listen, here's my idea. And she was more than happy to be like a part of it, which was awesome. But I remember sending it to her with specifically El Gato de Lothal, because I was like, what's your favorite Star Wars creature? And she was like, I love Lothcats. I was like, perfect. So I worked with Bernice back and forth, like, how do we make this work? And originally we had it say Lothcats, because a lot of times in other languages, the exact phrase of something is the same thing. You know what I mean? And so I sent that to Jonah Marie, and I was like, what do you think about this? There's this and this, and then Lothcats. She goes, well, I think it'd be better if it was like El Gato de Lothal. And I was like, I agree, let's do it. And she sent me a few takes of it, and it made the final cut. And yeah, it was a tiny little, you know, it's a little thing that I feel like goes a long way, you know? I was really happy to do it.
For sure.
And I'll be honest, given the kind of bar that it is,
yeah,
Los Gatos de Lothal could very easily be like a male review.
You know? Just saying, there's a lot of things here. I'm excited to see people that speak Mandarin and French if they pick up what was going on in there, because it's pretty.
I'm gonna have to go back and get it, because I mean, like I said, I took 2 years of high school French, so my French is like my French is like cast iron skillet that's been out in the rain for 10 years. Rusty.
Sure.
But it's close enough to Spanish that I might be able to kind of, you know, work a little bit of the conversation out.
But that's what you do with a cast iron skillet, bro. You keep it out. You never wash that thing. You got to keep it there.
Yeah, but if you keep it outside, it'll rust.
That's true. Depends for how long, you know.
Yeah.
If you abandon it on the side of the road, it will turn orange and be.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
PSA: don't abandon your skillets.
And that's my French right now. It's like it's been what? Oh man, it's been 20 years.
That's right.
Luckily, the romantic languages are so kind of intertwined with each other that if you know one, you can kind of work out the other ones.
Good luck with the Mandarin one. I listened to that and I was like, what does it say?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to reach out to John, Gus.
Yes.
Yeah. Do it. Let me know what he says. It's there was a lot of like, hey, here's what I want them to say. Can you translate this and then record yourself saying it? Yeah, we had the French one and the Mandarin one are the same person. We just pitched them differently. So the French one is a friend of mine named Christian Piles, who's just incredible. And then the Mandarin one was Wendy Lee Zaney, who again, incredible. And I had found out she spoke Mandarin like maybe 2 months prior. And I was like, hey, I have an idea. You want to come? She was like, yeah. I was like, cool. Thank God. Because it was funny. I remember I had to get Christian involved because the Spanish one was both women and the Mandarin one was a woman. And I was like, I don't want people to think this is just a bar of shady women run by a Trandoshan. And I was like, we need another man here to kind of round this place out. It's like, what kind of bar did Reldar walk into? The barkeep's a woman, the 2 conversations are women, and then there's one man who's a Trandoshan. I don't like what this is. So getting Christian in there was like, oh, thank God. All right, we're good now.
When he wrote the story, I was like, okay, I'm going to make a list of all the characters. And I was like, who's this? Is this a man or a woman? Is this a man or a woman? Is this a man or a woman? And I was like, we need more women. More women in here. And then they all like collectively gathered in the bar.
Yep. And like so much of it, like you remember this, because that was another thing we are really passionate about was like representation and inclusion. So we're like, so many of the characters that I wrote were open. You know, it wasn't like this is a man, because we had men and women audition for a lot of different roles because it's whoever's best for the character. So it was kind of cool to be able to have that opportunity, you know, with the people that we've worked with. It's pretty neat. Yeah. It's pretty neat. I'm proud of it.
I gotta ask your villain of the piece.
As you should.
Was there any inspiration taken from Don Carnage and the Sky Pirates?
There wasn't any directly. I mean, it's definitely an archetype. I don't know why it reminded me of that. It's like
the name is another friend reference.
Yeah. The name is of the Force cast, Ryan Donahoe. I was like, hey, you're Donna Lowe now. Enjoy. Like, I could not find a name that I liked for the captain. I was like, ooh, Donna.
The whole concept of like, here's this guy, he's so cocky that like he's gonna basically take himself out.
Yeah.
It felt so Tailspin to me.
Yeah.
Oh shit, yeah.
How was that for you guys? The Murph's moment of triumph against Donalo? Because for me, obviously, I wrote it, so I didn't have that experience. Yeah,
well, I mean, I like the fact that it's like, so Murph kind of at a certain point almost becomes like he's just a comedic foil for Reldar. Mm-hmm. And then obviously he has that moment that's like, oh, okay, well he's like a true member of the crew. He's actually useful.
Yeah.
You know, because other than that, I mean, it could have been so easily that he fell off to like just being like, he's just here to argue with Reldar and that's it.
He's just a sidekick. Yeah.
Reldar would agree.
It's a good thing, and you gave him that moment, which was just good. But then also the fact that it's like, well, that's Reldar's technology that he was working on. So he's a competent person who knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He's just he's not
just Reldar. Yeah. That's a fun thing with story is trying to figure out like. I remember somebody talking a long time ago about like I think it's the Two Towers maybe, where Legolas and Gimli almost don't talk at all for like a really long time. Like they're there, but they don't talk. And I was like, ooh. So I was really conscious of that. And what I tried to do with Murph specifically, there's little nods in dialogue as to why he doesn't like Reldar. And that explains why he seems like he's just there to constantly get Reldar when he's not paying attention. Like there's to kind of bring those up. Like there's a part when they're looking for jobs and he mentions hunger and Reldar's like, yeah, you don't have to worry about going hungry. And he's like, you're right, I don't. Also, hey, you'd have 2 times the food if we got rid of him. And he's like, hey, listen, all right. And then he mentions that Reldar was a stowaway on the ship. So that kind of lays a little ground there as to why Murph's not the craziest about him. And there's a few things throughout that if you can kind of piece them together, it shows the relationship that like if Reldar was a stowaway, then it used to just be Murph and Nefsana. So then this new guy shows up and now he's the one that's the co-pilot. So Murph's like, I was the co-pilot, you know,
new kid on the block.
Yeah. So it's, Murph's pretty great. So I had to give him that moment. Like if Reldar made the scrambler, Murph had to be the one to save the day.
And again, it pays off. I mean, it is one of those things like where I'm like, oh, how are they going to get out of this? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's right. I love how like Christina, the way that she was able to do that, like the sounds of the ships flying up ahead, and then Donald's like, "You're gonna have to try hard if you want to kill," and then just explosion. It's like
Yeah.
what just happened? And then Murph, mission accomplished. You're like, oh, what? Murph, the little droid, the junk bug. Yeah, Murph's awesome. I mean, he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right. Whatever.
Yeah, I won't tell him that. Yeah. Actually, that's another fun thing. The voice of Murph is also the voice of Donalo. Same guy.
Same guy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he killed himself. Good job.
At least he has job security, right?
That's right. You know, he had it covered. He had it covered.
I got to make sure I come back for the sequel.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. I don't think Murph's going anywhere, whether he wants to or
Nah,
not.
mm-mm.
Yeah,
I
that's
won't let you write him out.
that's Savanna. Savanna named Murph. That was
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
pretty
It's not a
serious.
Star Warsy name, but I wanted it.
No, I was like,
It's-
what?
it
What's
is
the
a good name.
significance? What's the significance of Murph?
There's really no significance other than I've always wanted a dog to name him Murphy, and I've never had a dog to name him Murphy. I don't know. And I was just like, this is my space dog now. Like, this has to happen.
Fun fact: when I was like 8 years old, I had a dog named Murphy.
No
See?
way.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's like a thing.
And my little sister named her Murphy because for some reason my little sister used to watch Murphy Brown. I don't know if you remember that show,
Oh,
Murphy Brown.
Perfect.
No.
You know?
It's so funny though that you had a dog named
What?
Murphy. That's literally why
Yeah.
I was like, if I'm not gonna have a dog named Murphy, then I need to have my space boy be Murphy.
Yeah.
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 So
And I do love the fact that his name is Murph E.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because that's how droids are.
Yep.
Yeah. She wouldn't
Exactly.
let me put numbers in. I tried. I was like, "Do you want to like droid this up and put like the U is I don't know like an E is the 3 or something?" You know? She's like, "Nope, it's Murphy." I was like,
It looked weird. We tried it
right.
with the 3 and I was like, I don't like it.
"No."
like
So we're just
it.
like, "All right, it's Murph
Yeah.
E," and everyone calls him Murph.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean that's kind of how you do with the Star. Like this little guy behind me there, that's W4F5,
Oh, perfect.
which kind of just looks like WAFs.
Yeah,
That's right.
I love it.
So it's just one of those things where it's like you gotta roll with what you got.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though he's an R2 unit, but
Sure. Hey,
You
it
know?
works. It works. Murph
Yeah.
oddly fits him now. When I look at him, I'm like, yeah, that's a Murph for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
well, I mean, who nobody knew anything about Chopper. Like
That's true.
and then it's like
That
what
is true, yeah.
CH-10 something like it's like
That's true. I like
You know,
Claptrap from Borderlands. His is
Yeah.
all letters and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You know.
Murph's alright. He's definitely a Murph.
Yeah.
You look at him, you're like, that's a Murph.
That's,
Look at that
that's
wheel.
definitely a Murph.
Look at him. Sheesh. Scrap built techno service. That's a Murph.
Oh man. So what else what do you guys have coming up like in whether it's your podcast or anything else you guys are working on or are planning to work on?
We are planning to do some roundtables for the adventures of the Zolan Dart. So within the next month, we're going to do a cast roundtable and a crew roundtable to talk to the people more that like helped bring this to life. Because Brian and I mean, we can sit and talk all day long, but nobody wants to listen to that. So we're definitely going to have Kayla back on. We are really excited to have Christina on so she can talk more about all of the work that she did. So I'm very excited for that. And there might be some like short stories coming down the road.
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe
We might be working on a bunch of other things for people that might be interested in these characters. Maybe.
now is it
There's
all
a
going to stay
lot
on
in
the
the
same on the same feed?
Yes.
Mhm.
So for those of you who haven't done it yet, if you're within the sound of my voice, make sure you go to whatever podcatcher you use and make sure you subscribe to the Dorky Diva Show. So that way you guys don't miss out on these things that are coming in the future. And also, if you're subscribed to our feed, I just released an episode last week, kind of detailing what's going on with our audio feed, so you can catch up on that as well.
Yeah. I want to ask
Alright.
you guys though, having listened to it and stuff, and being on the other side of the table, who were your favorite characters?
I definitely I gotta say Reldar.
Oh, that's nice.
Because I see myself in Reldar.
Sure.
Like
That's
I
very
can see
surprising.
myself being totally at home, like working on something, and then just trying to like act cool and be cooler than I actually am.
Yeah.
You know. At least until you guys add a character who's like a big beefy kind of silent, just punching people in the face kind of character.
Yeah.
Then I would see myself in that.
Beefy and silent. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe a bit of a drinker.
And
He'd be Reldar's best friend.
yeah. No, I've been looking for someone who can lift heavy things.
Come here, little friend.
Yeah.
Just but no, yeah, but I mean, he's the tech guy, right? He's like,
Yep.
if your favorite character was Donatello, Reldar's your guy.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, Donnie's my boy.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Obviously Nafsana, I love the lawful I was gonna say lawful good.
Sure.
It might be lawful neutral.
It's kind of, yeah. It does seem a little lawful neutral comparatively to everything
Yeah.
around her. Yeah.
Because when I think of lawful good, she's not like taking like legit shipping contracts with companies. She's like, she's doing odd jobs here and there, so maybe a little bit more neutral than good.
I can see that.
And obviously, this mission that they go on, there's a little bit of subterfuge and all that going on there as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't connect with the character that way as I did with Reldar, just because.
Right. Sure.
At my heart, I'm a geek. That's what I am.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, I guess I would have to go with Reldar as well.
What is happening?
Yeah, it's all three. Yeah,
Is it
man.
really?
Yeah, Donnie,
well,
bro.
I'll
I
see
freaking
you
love
guys.
this.
See you guys later. Wow, that's very kind.
You guys are gonna
But I
make
did
his
like-
head swell so
I know,
bad.
right?
These
See,
are
I
really
would have thought
tight.
Gus would have gone for Capri.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm very surprised. That's cool.
Let's be honest. Edwin would be Capri, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Talking a good game while at the same time robbing you blind.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
Capri
makes
was.
sense. Yeah.
I can't say Reldar. His head will explode.
That's
so.
yeah. That's cool though. I'm glad you guys liked him. I like him too.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool.
And hopefully he won't change too much.
Yeah.
He'll be that lovable, nerdy guy at heart, even if because that's another thing. It's like I do like character arcs. I do like characters to change.
Sure.
I don't like when the character changes so much that it's like,
Sure.
well, this isn't the same character.
That's right. Yeah.
But that's what makes him interesting, is because he has so much room to change.
Sure.
I think.
Sure. The next, if we make another one, he's just going to be like pretending to be Capron.
But that would still be within character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, do you want the job? How much does it pay? I'll do it. Murph, get out of my way.
Oh man.
Why are you talking that way?
Talking
Yeah,
like
Murph
a
did
woman.
not have that.
But I feel like that would be totally within the character, right? Like
Yeah.
he's met
Sure.
Capron now, and now Capron is his hero. So
That's
he wants to be Capron.
Capron did come in at the end to kind of, offer him a little something. Who knows?
Yeah.
True,
Actually,
true.
last Easter egg I'll give you guys. When you're done
right.
with all of this, Google Pana Prime, and that's for you. Because at the it ends with the job is a cake delivery on Pana Prime, and when you see what Pana Prime is from, it's a good one. All
All right.
I'll definitely check that out.
For sure.
Oh wow, we've been on for an hour.
Oh God,
Yeah.
you guys did it. Well done.
There you go.
They lasted.
Gus, I know you got to wake up, way before dawn. You got time? You got time? Can
Yeah.
we do a little WandaVision episode 3, or should we save that and do 3 and 4 next week?
Bro, I haven't even started WandaVision, man.
Like that, bro.
All right, so Gus, you can drop out if you.
But we can talk about it. It's all good, man.
Like, I can. nod.
I just
How
hang
about
out,
did you
like-
at least see the trailer for Godzilla versus Kong?
I didn't see the trailer, but I saw artwork for it.
He's seen the memes.
That's
Yeah,
right.
he's-
That's right. I know what they look like.
Yeah.
Are you guys caught up with Wanda?
No.
Me? No.
No?
We've been too busy working on this
We
thing.
made an audio drama, guys.
All right, Pedro, we'll talk about it next week. We'll
All
bring
right,
that one
sounds
on
good.
again.
Sounds good. Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
want to spoil nothing for nobody.
Yeah. All right. Well, in that case, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anytime you guys wanna swing by and plug something, you're more than welcome. Just reach out, let us know. We'll send out the invite. And again, for our listeners, if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely go check out Adventures of the Zolan Dart.
Yeah, man.
Check out their podcasts. That's the Dorky Diva Show and the Interesting Podcast.
That's right.
So definitely give those a check, and then always remember to leave a review, 5 stars, and how you like the show, so that helps them out.
Yeah.
And if you're new listening to us, find us on Facebook, find us on YouTube, hit subscribe, click the bell so that you get notified when new episodes drop. And until next time, we'll see you later, the Sith Heads.